Welcome, welcome to Copper Farms Sunday Night Live. We are here courtesy of StreamYard, which we have a link below if you are interested in trying it out. I love it. I love being able to experiment with different things to, well, one, support people that are supporting our channel, and then, of course, being able to display the things that we're talking about easily, respond to comments, create little tickers at the bottom that show for people that have been supporting our channel. So, but welcome, welcome. It is not quite the last weekend in July, right? Yeah. Oh, no, it is. Saturday is technically, I guess, next Saturday, the last day. So, yeah, sign up for StreamYard. All of the cool little graphics that you see here, and even that new intro screen where we were highlighting Mama Z, our first channel member, was done with Canva, which is another link below that I am actually officially an affiliate of. I got my application accepted. So check out Canva.
Heck yeah.
Hey, Mama Z. I love that little channel marker next to your name. Actually, does it show the little goat? Yes. I don't see the goat in StreamYard, but I see the goat here. All of our channel members will have that little goat.
Nice.
So
Then
this is our first live with channel members or memberships, I guess. So we're pretty excited about that.
you said this, right?
What did you put?
Canva.
Yes, Canva. And if you are interested in joining our channel, there's also a link below to do that. And we've got all kinds of goodies planned for our channel members. We've already launched the first drop of our channel membership perks, which right now Mama Z has access to, and that is the Materia Medica of the cayenne pepper video that came out this week. The video is actually doing really well. We're getting some good feedback in the comments for that video. I'm pretty stoked about that. So yeah, I'll be doing that every month. Hey, Papa Z. Going through an herb that I'll be studying for the month for my class and just sharing all that information with you guys. Might as well. It's not like it's not free information out there anyway, but yes, you can join our membership, our channel for membership perks. We are starting our newsletter. So I'm going to put a form for our members in the members only section of our community tab that you can put in your email and sign up for that. And it's going to have all kinds of free tips and things, recipes, soil building tips, herb tips, whatever free information we feel like putting out there. So yeah, I actually started the next video. I did all the audio, found a whole bunch of the footage that I want to use for a video that I'm putting out that's going to really dive deep into whether or not Maryland is a southern state.
Stock footage?
Yeah, there's some stock footage. And it's actually a very fascinating set of historical facts that I've discovered, and all I have to do is really put it together now, and I'm pretty stoked for it. So we actually are going to sit down a little bit tomorrow and plan out our videos for August, because once I get this one done, and then I think one more, and maybe a vlog, then my July videos are done. So now we got to start planning for August. What?
I'm just enthralled.
By what?
Your beauty.
So Mr. Poops is full of poop. What else were we going to talk
Did I
about?
throw it off? Did I throw you off?
You did throw it off. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's great.
That's my goal.
So yeah, channel memberships. We're also going to have a couple. We went with a 3-tier system, so I'm excited to figure out ways that we can provide value. One of them is certainly going to be consultations for probably the highest tier, where you can either consult with me about web or Canva stuff, or probably Donald. I'm going to throw him in the fire there about soil stuff in the highest tier. And then I honestly forget what all the tiers were. There's a video. If you click the join button below this video, you'll see all the different tiers. Either way, you'll get some good stuff. I'm going to provide a book a quarter, free book. on herbs or gardening or something, you guys get to have that kind of stuff. So Big Bear, thank you for stopping by. I know you guys have had an awful week. Still have you in all of our prayers. And if there's anything that any of us can do to help out, just let us know. We don't want to see you guys suffering. And I miss you guys a lot. It's weird when you, because I haven't, like, and you can ask, I haven't really been on market that much. I kind of miss everybody. You know, it's weird. You don't talk to people for a week or two, and it's like, I don't know. It's like your life's different, and it's not in a good way.
Well, get on it.
I need to. I've just been so bit like video editing. It's like all I do anymore. It feels like. So there's that.
I do need to do my next soil update video. Or whatever.
He does. Somebody help me convince him to put out a freaking soil video.
Well, it's probably going to be about what we're doing right now.
I think you should talk about the difference in the rain sequestration that we've had over the last couple months, because that's been pretty big and pretty noticeable. Sequestering the rain, yeah.
The rain.
Hope you guys have a good week too, Big Bear. Hope it gets better. Infiltration, yeah, that. Let me show you guys. So Donald's almost finished putting up the fencing for the new sheep area. And for those that weren't here last week, these are the sheep that we're looking at. And they're called I actually spoke with Quebec Homestead sometime this week. And someone in her chat said they're called 𝙂𝙖𝙧𝙙𝙬𝙖. 𝙂𝙖𝙧? Is that what I said? 𝙂𝙖𝙧? It's a French breed.
Sure.
That, you can't import sheep over to the United States, so someone's kind of breeding them up through, what was it, artificial insemination?
Yeah, but then that got banned.
Oh.
So they're doing it through mixing back and forth, trying to get the percentage up.
Yeah. So you said you emailed them. We're going to see what they say about availability.
I just Facebook messaged them.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out their email because their website's not up to date.
Their website kind of sucks. I might actually email them. Maybe we can do a barter website for some sheep. Anyway, so we're almost done the pen for that. But check this out. So we took some pictures.
And they're cute.
Hey, Skinner Farms. We took some pictures of the fencing, which we're going to have in a vlog this like coming up here soon too. But we're like, all right, the deer are eating our garden and they're eating our orchard.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this fence will help deter them. And then, of course, we're mostly using it to keep the sheep in and everything. But then you get this crap going on, which you can see from multiple angles. They were going to get through this fence anyway. I don't know if they just got caught in that bit there.
If you notice, the top is bent in, but the one right below it is bent out.
Yeah.
So their foot got in the bottom one and bent it in.
Yeah, so they got caught in it. And so, I assume they still made it in the garden. But, we had to have the fence up regardless for the sheep. But now we're kind of like, maybe we need something else. Because cattle pounders are not easy to bend. But that's what happened. And that was 2 days ago?
That was 2 days ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to. He ordered a light that we're going to stick up and see if that helps stop them from getting in the garden.
Yeah, I did a motion sensor light.
Solar
power motion sensor.
I feel like a combination of a couple of these different things. We had people recommending like Irish Spring soap. We tried that a couple years ago. It didn't work.
Didn't work for us.
And then someone said tuna cans or something.
Tuna cans on strings, and they trip on the strings and tuna cans make the noise. And they freak out hardly. But I don't want cans of tuna can. Or strings of tuna can just hanging around.
Yeah. So we're going to have to experiment a little more. But yeah, that's what they did. That's what the deer did to our fence this week.
But I fixed it.
Yeah, we fixed it.
I muscled it back.
Muscled it. Mama Z says, is it bad I spent all day designing my farm in Sims 3? No. I actually started playing Skyrim again yet this week, but I'm making sure that I have all my stuff done before I start playing at the end of the day. And it's been fun. I mean, I've honestly been enjoying reading books more than I have been playing that. I just finished a book today. And of course, they left it off in a massive cliffhanger, and the next book doesn't come out to November. And that was actually this book here, which is The Garden of Promises and Lies. It's the third in a series by Paula Braxton. And the fourth one comes out in November. But I've actually really enjoyed these books. It's about like time travel, like a time travel society that has to right the wrongs of other people that are also time travelers that are messing things up for their own gain. But it's kind of like whimsical, going back into Victorian eras and medieval eras. And it's, I mean, I guess in a way it could be dark occasionally, but it's very light. And I'm not big on really dark fantasy. I like something that's going to make me feel good, or I don't know. I'm weird like that. So that one we've really enjoyed. And then I actually started, because I've been doing so much fantasy lately, I decided I'm going to try some sci-fi. So I switched to this one today. And let me tell you, if you ever listen to Audible, listen to the sample of this book. This was the highest rated book on Audible. #1 across the board. And it just came out in May, and it's already got like tens of thousands, like 40,000 reviews or something, which is massive, I feel like, for a book to get that many reviews in 2 months. But the sample really hooked me. And it's, I don't know if it's the narrator, but he does it so well. I feel like he's, I don't know.
I think it's a combination of the writer and the narrator. Yeah,
the narrator, I think, is what really got me, it made me laugh. So this is the one I'm reading now. My first sci-fi in, I'm trying to think if I ever read any sci-fi in high school. I'm not sure I did. So it may be my first ever. I think I did read the Galaxy one.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, in like middle school, but I don't remember anything about it. So those are the 2 books that I was dealing with today. Donald, you finished 2 books, but you really didn't like one of them.
Well, probably 3, depending on. Let me see here.
So you did this one, the Project Animal Farm.
I finished that one.
Didn't like it.
It's all right. It's, I mean, it goes into it's a cross, really. She's more inclined to do no animal killing, butchering, but mainly targets factory farms. Talked about she went out, volunteered at farms, and went in and did, I think it was like a full year of across the country going through, or across the world going through farms. But in the end, she actually ends up talking about regenerative agriculture, actually pastoral farms being the way to go. So it was a pretty good book at the end, but at the beginning, it's kind of, you get the feeling that it's another one of these don't kill any animals.
Yeah, she's hardcore vegan, apparently.
Kind of thing.
But you read another one.
But I'm glad I read it, or listened to it. And then this one is a really good one. For the Love of Soil?
For the Love of Soil,
yeah. For the Love of Soil. The only thing I had to get used to with this one on Audible is the narrator, which is, it's the author too, but the narrator has a very, very heavy Australian New Zealand accent. So it's had to get used to listening to it for a little bit. But after maybe 4 chapters, I was fine listening to it. Of course, I listened to it on the way to work, at work, on the way home, while I'm outside on the farm. So I listened to it for hours. But it was a lot of good stuff in that one. I still think my favorite one, though, is Dealing with Microbes.
Yeah, that one. You had a lot of good things to say about that one.
Right now, the other one that I'm reading right now,
which I don't have a picture of.
You don't have a picture of, but it's called Restoration Agriculture.
Restoration Agriculture. I can look it up real quick, though. Tell us about that one.
Well, I just started. I think I'm only in an hour, half an hour to an hour into it. But it's by Mark Shepard, and it's that one. It's about restorative agriculture in a perennial setting. So they're more inclined of us living in having perennial farms. So I'm curious how well this is going to be, because I know there's a lot of people that do annuals. But I do, a lot of these you do learn. This gnat or something. Even though these books, they're like between 8 and 15 hours long, and some of them aren't full, like catching my attention.
Yeah.
There are a lot of little bitty intricates that you
can
catch.
pull out. Yeah.
Like on a bare ground, you're gonna have annuals first. Mother Nature's gonna throw in annuals just to cover the bare ground, to prepare the bare ground for perennials. And then perennials, like perennial grasses, and then if that stays long enough, it's eventually going to end up being shrubs. Then it's going to be forests. And then if you want pasture, that's why you graze, to keep it grasses, to keep the shrubs down, to keep the trees down, so it doesn't go into a forest temperate. If you're going to be doing crops, if you're just grazing, silva pasture and stuff like that, it's fine. But if you're doing crops, if you're grazing cover crops and you're using the animals for fertility and all this stuff, you want it to constantly be grazed so it doesn't become a perennial area, because you don't want the fungi as dominant, because annuals require a different set of nitrogen than what fungal. That's the big thing. I'm geeking out a little bit, and I apologize.
Go for it.
Fungal dominant environments, so forests, shrubs, anything perennial pretty much, requires nitrogen in the form of ammonia. And fungal is what produces that nitrogen. They will take the nitrogen in the atmosphere and the soils and convert it to ammonia. Annuals, weeds, vegetables, all of that requires nitrogen in the form of nitrates. So if you need bacteria and not fungal to convert into nitrates, so you have to have a bacteria dominated, not just bacteria. You need the fungal mycorrhizal environment, but it just needs to be more bacteria than fungal for your annuals. So there's my geek out moment.
Isn't it amazing the things that you learn over the course of science? Like my dad growing up in the 50s and 60s and learning how to farm in the 60s and 70s, it was very commercial farming oriented. I don't want to say traditional farming, but, the plow and monocropping. And, there's certain tips and things, when you should be planting corn, and this and that. But nowadays, with the scientific advances that we have and the availability of books that we didn't have back then, it's like there's such detail that just has been missed over the course of agriculture in the United States over the last 300 years. And it's fascinating to know that. Like, I did not know that, corn versus cabbage, they like different types of environments. One likes a fungal dominated environment, one likes a bacteria dominant environment. I didn't know that. And then how do you create those types of environments? I don't know how to do that. So I'm letting him kind of explain all that, and he's kind of teaching me what he learns. And then with me, with herbs, it's like in any time prior to 1940, herbal medicine was all you had. We didn't have the commercial chemicals and medicines that we had, which really that kind of dominated the market in the 1940s. And then women started going into hospitals rather than having home births in the 1960s. So herbal medicine was all we had, and we kind of lost that over the last 70 or 80 years. But I want to say probably, I don't know when it started kind of coming back into fashion, but I'm really glad. And we still have like a lot of fighting to do in order to make herbal medicine something that we are allowed to do and, be herbalists But it's fascinating to see all that information that was kind of lost and now it's kind of being reborn. So I think it's an interesting time we're living in now.
I think it's kind of like restorative agriculture. They create the modern, conventional technology, find out the method and using it is not really beneficial. So then they have to go back to the old school of with nature, but using today's technology.
Yeah.
So it's probably like the herbal medicines. They're finding out now that herbal medicines are actually doing what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using the modern conventional technology and knowledge
extract that
to implement herbal.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was that your one friend doing? What was it called? Integrative?
Oh, integrative medicine. Medicine. Yeah, I had a friend that she was a conventional PCP, primary care physician, and then she really didn't like how much it was forced on people to take certain medicines, or you just give them a pill and send them on their way. You weren't really diagnosing or diving down into the problem. So she decided to do what's called integrative medicine and functional medicine all together. It's like a holistic approach to modern medicine. And I actually signed up for her program, and the details that she went into to interview you in order to find out not even just medical conditions you've had in the past, but like emotional traumas. Like, when my parents got divorced when I was 8, my mom kidnapped me when I was 8, like those type of things set a precedence for emotional stresses that develop your DNA, the things that give you anxiety. And she takes all of that together. And, she figured out I have some kind of, I can't process folate. Is that what we learned? I can't process folate like normal people. And that's a common thing. I think what's her name? Jennifer Frank, her channel, she has the same gene. Like, well, now we know that, I have to take a different approach to get my folates and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I don't want to say what I call the gene because it sounds...
No, that's fine.
Yeah. But anyway.
But then there's another guy. I forget his name. I'm gonna have to look him up. But I like him because he goes into, it's like the pharmacology that we were talking about.
Yeah.
He goes into your health by what you eat. And even though he's not about soil, but he's about soil because it grows the food, and then what's in the food is what's in your body. And like that's when I learned one of the big things about glyphosate. Glyphosate is 70% water soluble. So if you spray glyphosate on the ground, 70% of it on average gets into the water table. And being water soluble means it can dissipate into the water and then travel. And
that's what's in Roundup, right?
That's what's in Roundup. Yeah. That's the number one thing. And usually when someone says glyphosate, you're talking about Roundup. But it's glyphosate specifically that makes Roundup.
And what was the book you read? Because glyphosate, you said, was in like the majority of all the things that we consume and own anymore.
It's because of it was that same guy. Because of how much it's been used and promoted, and this was of course from back to the 70s and 80s and 90s, because back in that
era, when we didn't know any better.
Well, it's honestly because it was back in that era. The government was get big or get out. Yeah. They were promoting big farm. The big farm has to do this, and it was a scam. It was to do what you had. Like if you had 40 acres, to farm the 40 acres, you needed to take a loan out, and that was the other thing. They were encouraging farmers to take loans out. But you had to take a loan out to get the equipment to do the farm, to do 40 acres. But to pay off that farm, that equipment, you had to buy a bigger farm to get more crops. But now because you had more crops, you had to get another loan to get the other equipment, and it was a back and forth cycle.
Yeah. But
then that's when they just said, well, now you just take all of it and just spray to get the weeds down. Well, then the trouble with that happened, and then they're like, all right, well, now we're just going to do GMO and have it Roundup ready. So now it can take the Roundup. So you're still spraying, but you're not hurting your crop, even though now you're creating pesticide-resistant insects, but also pesticide-resistant bacteria.
Yeah, Mama Z says they tried to kill the small farmers. And here's the thing about that, in my opinion. So, yes, they have tried to get farmers to rely on the government. And here's the thing I don't understand about a lot of people. They talk about, well, I won't do this or that because it's not FDA approved or whatever. And to me, I wouldn't trust the FDA with anything, to be quite honest, because, you know, for the most part, they don't allow raw milk. Don and I have been consuming raw milk forever because it's legal here in Pennsylvania. And it's like, you know, I feel like over the years, we've relied so much, and I think a lot of homesteaders can, especially over the last year, can really agree to this. We've relied so much on what the media tells us, what the FDA tells us, what the government tells us. The 80s, it was bad to eat fat. You have to do low-fat everything, but we're going to replace that fat with sugar, and then people are going to get fatter, and then people are going to get diabetes. They're going to get more addicted to sugar, and it's because that's what they told us. That's what they've been telling us for years. And it's like now I think there's, I don't want to call it woke culture because that can have negative connotations, but that's kind of what it is. We know now that we have to take care of the soil. We have to, you know, stop relying on the government. We have to prepare, and we have to eat from the land. You know, we have to grow our own meat and grow our own food, because then we know what we're eating. Then we know what's good for our bodies. We have to eat fat. We have to consume fat in order to sate, because otherwise, if we're not sated, then we overeat. It's the whole Oreo cookie concept, which I think I've talked about before, but just to go over it again real quick, the Oreo cookie concept is basically, if you are hungry, you can eat a whole bag of Oreos and still feel hungry. I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I
think everyone's done that.
I freaking love Oreos. I can eat a whole pack of Oreos, sure. And the reason you can do that, but you can't eat, let's say, a nice piece of salmon steak. Once you eat that salmon steak, you're like, all right, I'm done. I'm full. And it's because your body is what tells you you're full based off of the nutrients that you're giving it. Oreo has absolutely no nutrients that your body needs or even should consume. So you're eating it and your body's like, hey, man, I still need some fat, and I still need some protein, and I still need this and that. So it's saying, I'm still hungry. Give me something else. But if you eat something that's cooked in a good fat, like avocado oil or coconut oil, and it's a good meat like a salmon, fried zucchini, you eat that, your body's like, this is the good stuff. This is the stuff that I want. So, hey, Stringfield Ridge, check that out. Became a YouTube member. Now, let me tell you, Stringfield Ridge is one of my favorite channels that we are actually subscribers to, because they send out the coolest gifts, and they send out a monthly newsletter, just like Mama Z does. Mama Z sends out some recipes and talks about all kinds of cool stuff in her newsletter. Stringfield does. Stringfield sends little gifts. Mama Z sends little gifts. I have to see if there's any little gifts we can send. I bet you if I could do like the herbal mixes that I've been wanting to experiment with and sell anyway, like herbal dips and stuff. We'll see. There's all kinds of stuff we're going to put out there. So, but yes, welcome to the family. It's exciting.
Do you know why I don't think or listen to the FDA for the most part?
The FDA is a bunch of crap.
Well, so, and this is some stuff I've read in these books. I've caught a couple of this stuff, and then I've done a little bit more research. So, on like with Monsanto and the glyphosate, there was the government asked Monsanto to do a research or something. I forgot what it was. I'll have to go back and look at it. But it was some kind of report on their Roundup, and it took this lady like months and months and months to get the report set up. So as she was getting it set up, she got a new job at FDA, to where she's the one who approves the report she's about to send in.
What did we watch that they were talking about all the different Monsanto employees that now work for government agencies? Was it Food Incorporated?
I think it might have been.
Have you guys seen that documentary? It's actually a very good documentary about Monsanto.
But that was, to me, that's one of those where they just slide back and forth between the FDA. Like, There is a report, or not a report, an allowable usage of poison. And I use the word poison, but it's another word, but it's poison. But it's an allowable usage of poison that the FDA allows to be in commercial food, like farm commercial food. Well, it wasn't as high as some of these companies wanted, Monsanto being one of them. So to save money, they just slipped one of their other guys over there to where he's in charge of that division, and he bumped up the allowage level to where they didn't have to drop their usage, and save money.
So the FDA is crap.
That's why I don't even look at all that. I'm like, it's especially from a food standpoint. By the way, the FDA is the one who came up with the food pyramid,
which was wrong.
And now they're actually trying to add another section in the food pyramid of sugar. They're and this is no joke. They're being lobbied. The government's being lobbied to where sugar is on the food pyramid at 25% of your daily calories.
And sugar is more addictive than cocaine.
So
here's the thing here's the struggle for homesteaders and farmers in general when it comes to things like the FDA. We want to be left alone. We want to grow our own food. We don't want government interfering with what we're doing. A lot of people want to be off grid. We would love to be off grid if we could. But the problem with that is then the people that make the decisions are the ones that don't care. And I would love for more homesteaders and farmers to get up into these boards and Congress and FDA so that they can take, stuff that we know is true and actual scientific knowledge, and then base all of their statistics and the regulations off of that information rather than people that, they don't care. They are in there for the money. And most of us homesteaders just want to be left alone. So that's like the struggle. Like, I want to be left alone. I don't want to deal with politics. But if I don't do it, then we get all these corrupt people.
Another thing I found. That Project Animal Farm. One of the things I got from the book, when she was going in through, like, working in these, like, she went from slaughterhouses. She worked in chicken farms, like factory chicken farms. She worked in CAFOs just to see how they actually operate. And she said it was insanely difficult to get in there. But it was also insanely difficult to, it was very hush-hush, very secretive, even though they say, we'll have tours where we allow people all the time. They have huge biosecurity issues. But one of the things that I found interesting was each big facility in the United States and Canada, and she didn't mention anywhere else, but those two countries specifically, each big facility has a government official that's there for inspection. Like, their office is there at that facility. But the government does not pay that official. That corporation pays that official. So how often do you think that official is going to report that corporation on issues when they're the one paying them?
Yeah.
And that's what she was stating in the book was, she's like, if they report and shut them down, they're essentially shutting down their job because that corporation is the one who's paying them.
So that makes them less likely to report.
Yep.
There's just too many corrupt people in power is what it is.
There's some good books out there. I'm catching a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. And I want to say there was another one that was talking about that, how it might have been Food Incorporated. They were talking about how in probably the 60s or something, the amount of slaughterhouses that we had available was like thousands in the United States. And then due to the way things have changed with CAFOs, we're down to, and they would have to inspect these slaughterhouses and stuff in order to make sure they're done ethically and they're clean and we're not getting E. coli and all that other stuff. And I think now we're down to like 13.
Something like that.
Something like that. And then they have less regulations they have to follow. Yeah, that's the thing about humans, unfortunately. The more that you're empowered, the more corruptible you are. I would love to see us to get people in leadership that are, they're willing to be the bad guy and just do what's right, which isn't really the bad guy. But, when it comes to lobbying and political gain, it sucks because this country was founded on these values that the people would be the final say in how the government is run. And we have that capability per the Constitution and the amendments to overthrow a government that is corrupt. But we never do it because there's just so much infighting and stuff. So I'll actually be addressing that a little bit in my Maryland video that's coming out next week.
I had a little bit of a discussion here in the past week on Facebook. I've joined a couple of groups on Facebook about
regenerative. Is this with that woman?
Yes, about regenerative agriculture and gardening and soil building and things like that. And one of them, but it's funny because one of them is I want to say it's called Soil for Climate.
Yeah, I'm in that one.
And there was a guy talking about he feels attacked because he's a cattle rancher and he might not be doing restorative agriculture. He's probably doing open grazing, which open grazing is if you have 400 acres and you have 300 head and you let the 300 head graze the 400 acres the entire time. That's open grazing. When it's more holistic management or restorative agriculture by doing mob grazing over tighter the group and move them over acres. But he was like, I would like all these people that don't have cattle, like we don't have cattle.
Yeah.
Room for most of the things that I'm looking at is just what I've read, I've watched, I've studied. I actually don't have cattle yet.
Yes.
But we will get it. But he was talking about is I wish these people that didn't have cattle, that don't know how to handle cattle, don't tell me how to run cattle. Which I can see that. I can see that kind of like, you might have the knowledge, but you don't have the experience. I have the experience. But I wish people would help me. If you want to help, you can help me donate money or whatever. And then one guy said, well, one thing you can do is you can get digesters. I know their government's paying for digesters and to get rid of the manure or to help with the methane. And so me being me, I commented. I was like, if I'm just to make sure I understand what you're stating to use a digester in a regenerative agriculture group. And the reason I'm asking that is because a digester is designed for masses amounts of manure. And if you're in a regenerative agriculture environment, you're not going to have massive amounts of manure. It's just going to be scattered through the whole thing. I was like, so really, you shouldn't be in a soil for climate or in a regenerative agriculture group advocating digesters. And we said a couple of things back and forth. Nothing bad. It was pretty mutual. But eventually, he was like, "Yeah, I can see you're right." Blah blah blah. But in that same time frame, there was that group, and then there was another group where this person posted a meme that said, you can't call yourself an environmentalist if you eat meat. So I immediately knew at least vegetarian.
Yeah.
Probably, though, with that kind of meme.
It drops.
And I have no issue with vegetarians. I have no issue with vegans.
Yeah, we know vegetarians and vegans. Pescatarians, we know a lot of them. My
issue, though, is with people that are militant about it and push. How dare you? You're evil for doing it this way.
Yeah.
Well, she made the comment. Someone said, I will agree with you if you're referring to factory farms. You can't call yourself an environmentalist if you eat meat from a factory farm. I agree and disagree with that. There's a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to not eat meat from a grocery store, and those are majority factory farms. But she stated, well, cattle from a grass-fed farm produce 20% more methane than cattle from a CAFO. And my first thought was, what? But then I was like, so you're already basically saying don't kill cattle at all, is what she's basically saying. But I came back with statistics. I said that information is skewed, misleading, because grass-fed cattle live longer than CAFO cattle. And that is based off of their lifetime. And they average 6 months longer. So if you put them down to, and that's what I said, and she came back with, what's your point?
Donald likes to internet argue sometimes.
I like the internet argue with facts.
When I'm right.
It's facts. If you're going to say something and I come up with facts against you, have the courage to, or the humility to take it and bow down to my power. Admit that I'm right. Learn from your mistakes.
Because he doesn't. Because he never gets that from his wife.
Because I never get that from my wife. I have to get it from somewhere, and it has to be peasants on Facebook. But and then she kept saying, "Well, talk about killing cattle." I'm like, "Well, that was not the part of the point of this post. I'm just saying that if you want to have that statistic, you have to make sure that the CAFO cattle and the grass-fed cattle are butchered at the exact same time, at the exact same weight, and then you can say if it's 20% or more, which it's not. The CAFOs produce more because the grain makes you more bloated than grass-fed. So,
yeah.
There's my rant.
There's Donald's rant.
And my second rant. Man, you guys got me ranting and monologuing tonight.
Right? We've been talking about Monsanto. We've been talking about FDA, and yeah.
Yeah. Now I will say, here's one thing. What?
Chops is like, get into a flat earther conversation. Donald got the perfect answer for you.
Though with the atmosphere, like they don't call it an atmosphere flat.
I had a better word than peasants, but that one's okay. I'm interested in hearing your answer for that one. We were talking about that some today, about just how much society as a whole, and it's not even specifically just the United States, but we're just so easily taken. Humans are so easily taken. We are naive. I'm not going to go into specifics of that discussion, obviously, but we are very naive people. And it's weird, the stuff that we come up with, that this is fact and true and this happened. And we're like, what?
I was going to say something earlier. What was I going to say?
That your wife is amazing.
Beautiful, amazing, awesome. But no, that wasn't it.
But no, that wasn't it.
Oh, that's right. That's what I was going to say.
Hey, MB Heritage.
So, Gabe Brown, another guy I follow. I have a little bit of a...
The atmosphere flat.
Love-hate relationship with him because of his school, but that's a whole other thing. But he is actually I would consider him big ag, even though he only runs like 5,000 acres. To me, I have an acre, that's big ag. But he's consulting actually with big ag, big companies like General Mills. I know for a fact he's consulting with them and converting them to regenerative agriculture,
which is a good thing.
Which is a great thing.
Yeah.
And they're doing it just because it saves them money, and they get good press.
But that's how you get to these corporations. If you can get them to do the things that we need them to do, like regenerative agriculture to build soil, by telling them it saves them money, then do it. Then do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, and then I think there's a couple more that he's talking to, but he's apparently under contract and not mention who it is. But I know there are some people like Gabe Brown that are actually trying to get big ag to switch over.
Yeah.
And so I'm rooting for them on that.
Drops, I'm not sure if people would understand your, like, as scientifically accurate as your statement is. I feel like when I see people on TikTok that don't understand, and I think even Emma over at Sunny's Place was talking about how people didn't know what continent Mexico was on.
Oh, I can even do one better than that.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about the ruler?
No.
But that's another one.
Well, that's another one. But, so, Burger King, I think it was Burger King.
Hey, Heirloom Permaculture.
Wanted to compete, this is years ago, wanted to compete with the quarter pounder. So they came out with a third pounder. It bombed because people saw 3 and it's less than 4.
Wow.
And I'm like, I would have, to me, it's more, but they didn't see it that way.
So they don't understand fractions.
They don't understand fractions.
Tell them about the inch or foot, the foot.
The foot. So I won't mention the person's name, but it is someone I've worked with.
You no longer work there.
No longer work there. But I was helping them to pass the wastewater tests we're studying. And one of the big issues that people have on the wastewater test is the math portions. So we're going over math questions. And we're reading the question. He's like, well, what do I do to start these? I'm like, the first thing you do is look at what they're asking you for. So they'll give you the wording, blah, 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 blah. There's this, this, and this. And then they'll say, what is blah, 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 blah. So like, what is the pounds of BOD in the aeration basin? So what is the pounds? So they ask you for the pounds. It's a pounds question, so you need a pounds formula. Like, and you look in the formula chart, look at the pounds formula, get that, and then you plug and play. All the numbers that are in there, they're in there.
You're doing too many details.
Sorry. But anyway, so he's looking at it. He's okay. And I'm like, so this is a good one. You're just converting inches into feet for this question. 36 inches, just convert it to feet. So he pulls out his phone. And he's a young kid. He's like 23, 24. But he pulls out his phone. And I said, I kind of smack his hand. I'm like, no, what are you doing? I was like, it's 36 inches converted to feet. He goes, I am, man. I was like, I want you to do that without your phone. He goes, well, I can't. And behind me, we have a ruler. I mean, not a ruler, but a tape measure. So I went around the corner, grabbed the tape measure, came back. And I did that. Pulled it out.
Here's the foot.
I was like, here, how many inches are in a foot, bud? And he looked at the tape measure and goes, 11. No, 12. And I looked at him, I'm like, you've got to be messing with me right now, bud. You have got to be messing with me. He goes, well, man, I'm not a carpenter. I don't do this all the time. I was like, well, we got to go with the basics on get you back on the basics.
Yeah, he didn't know how many inches were in foot. That was weird. And I mean, he's maybe like 20 years younger than us ish, 15, 20 years. But I still feel like that's basic schoolage, right?
Yeah. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, whatever high school you went to failed you. Whatever junior high you went to failed you. Whatever elementary you went to failed you.
Now we say that though, but I have some high school people that I went to high school with on my Facebook or whatever. And obviously beyond political divide, just the way that they type, that they spell, that they form an argument, some of them are just way different. Like, we couldn't have gone to the same high school. We couldn't have been in the same grade and taken the same classes because it's just so different.
It is.
And I don't understand that necessarily, but
it comes back to food, baby. It's the bad soil, bad food.
Bad food is the issue of everything.
It's everything. If we just heal our gut,
which
we will heal everything.
I mean, that is important. There was an analogy in that book about the gut and the soil, right?
Oh yeah,
it was a good analogy.
It was the gut is the body's soil. If you heal the soil, you heal the plants, or you heal the gut, you heal the body.
Orion Tata says, I guess if you find out how tall someone is, you ask a carpenter.
Yes, or that guy on TikTok.
Oh yeah, that guy on TikTok. He's amazing. How far is a foot to an ant?
A mile. Actually, no, probably not.
Yeah, I didn't learn that part, I will say. Hey, Unpaved Explorer. We've got Orion and 𝙎𝙤𝙧𝙙𝙬 dropped in. Yeah, we've just been talking about how, well, we've been on a lot of rants today. We've been talking about the corruption of the government and the FDA and how I don't trust them to give us advice on food or nutrition. And we've been all over it today.
Because it's corporations, man.
It's the corporations, man.
Corporations are telling you that you need this. And then they turn around and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I no longer do any kind of low fat. I want all the fat, good fats. And we want to eat more paleo, no processed, no fast food, which is hard. There are days where I just don't feel like cooking. And so, you know, I will go out to Starbucks or whatever. And, you know, I'm not going to never eat ice cream again, you know, never have sugar again, but it should not be a staple in my diet. So that's kind of where we're going.
I found this out.
So you guys were doing a joke. I see. A riddle. They were trying to mess me up.
But the book I'm reading now, The Restoration Agriculture, the author went to a convention, and it was like a seed convention or something. But they had scientists there, and they were talking about seeds and diseases and pests and chemicals on how to fix it and yada, yada, yada. But the scientists apparently were hired by the chemical companies that are selling the chemical-laden seeds to do a report on how well they are.
Hey, Albany Mountain Homestead.
And apparently he got kicked out.
Albany? Sorry.
Albany?
I think it's Albany.
Yeah. Apparently the author got kicked out because he was questioning one of them, saying that they created extra viruses or diseases just for this new one. And she agreed. She goes, yes, we do, but the amount is statistically unimportant.
Bacon is delicious.
And he's like, but you still do that. And because he kept asking, they kicked him out. I just thought it was funny. See what I'm saying? She doesn't even listen to him. She doesn't even listen. But I'm glad you guys listen. You guys, we know. We know.
Do they know?
Oh, they know. They're my friends, right?
They're not my friends? Okay.
They're my friends.
Right. So yeah, that's what's been going on for us. We got our memberships now. So if you're interested in learning more about herbs and soil, you know, feel free to join the channel. We're still going to talk about it in our videos. It's just we'll have extras for channel members. And we were talking about earlier, for those of you that are new, we've been putting up fencing around the garden, and we've been dealing with this right here. This was a deer this week that I guess the fence was not something they were willing to let deter them into our garden. So we fixed it, but now we're kind of like looking through, figuring out, well, how are we gonna, I don't know. I feel like I just want to make a bunch of deer bologna. Just sit out there with a shotgun or something. I don't know.
Well, if you notice, it's in pretty much the side.
Let me put
it's not coming from the forest. It's coming from our neighbor.
Yeah, well, see, the neighbor that's on the other side of that little driveway there feeds the deer corn every day. So once they're done stuffing themselves there, they come to our garden late at night, like around 10 o'clock, and decide to have dessert. So we actually put this up because we're getting the Wadsaw sheep, these little guys. Wadsaw sheep. But we were hoping it would help deter the deer as well. And so far, I mean, it does a little bit, but
they're so cute.
Aren't they cute? Look at them. Look how small they are compared to those ducks at the top. We are so stinking excited, and it's such a rare breed that there's only 2 farms in the United States that has them, and they're not purebred yet. They're like breeding them to that point, but we're pretty stoked. I really want some sheep. Yeah, I heard about the deer eating your strawberries drops. That sucks. Stringfield says they need more knowledge on herbs and soil. So I'll handle the herb stuff.
Okay, so the soil. So it depends on what you want to grow. Basically, it's down to 2 two types: perennial or annual. Right?
Sure.
If you want to go perennials, you want to go heavy on the fungal domination. So you can actually make compost. I didn't know this until I learned this. You can make fungal dominated compost and bacteria dominated compost. Bacteria dominated compost is your hot compost, the compost most people are associated with, whether you turn it, it gets 140 degrees and you turn it, it gets 140 degrees and you turn it. The fungal dominated compost is basically your wood chip pile that you just let sit. And the fungal comes in, then breaks it down. You put that in your perennial garden area, and that'll inoculate your soil with fungal domination. But the hot compost with your annuals, usually people would put it in when they're planting something, they'll put the compost in at the root system, because that's where most bacteria in the soil is the roots. So that's where. I hate this clock.
Well, it's getting closer and closer to the actual time. Have you noticed?
I don't care.
Okay.
It's still the clock.
They used to go off at like in the middle of the hour or something.
Yeah, but so you put the compost in with the plant when you plant it. That's weird. To help inoculate it and get it started. But then you can also put the compost around the top and then cover it with some type of mulch, usually like a hay, something that's low carbon. The higher that's not as woody. The higher the woody, the more fungal you're going to get, and you don't want that in your annuals. You want it to be bacteria dominated. Then I can even go any further. Actually, this is going to be another video we're going to put out. You can make a compost tea. And when you get the tea, you got it set up and you're going to spray your plants. You want to spray the leaves. The front and the back of the leaf. Because that's also where bacteria is dominated. Or bacteria is located.
Hey, Bushcraft family.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Did you catch all of that? Because that was a lot.
You better.
Homework. That's what we should do. We should give you guys homework that are channel members. We'll give you guys homework.
Over here.
Fishes in Love said, should do sharpened spikes inside the fence line. Then when the deer jump and miss, they are already on a rotisserie. I really want to sit out there one day. Because that's one thing that, I mean, it's been years since I've gutted a deer. But, like we do chickens and rabbits every year. We're actually going to do chickens and rabbits next month. I would like to show Donald how to do a deer as well. Because it's slightly different. And then I'm addicted to deer bologna. That's like my jam. I'll eat deer bologna every day. I love it. So I would love to have a freezer full of that.
Do I need to keep going?
About
I'm
what?
just waiting.
For what?
I don't know. Do I need to keep going?
About what?
Soil.
And if you want, sure.
Did anybody learn anything? Or did that stuff that people already
Hey,
knew?
Great Lakes Reliance. Welcome
That's
from
one thing.
Michigan.
That's one thing I don't understand. I don't know. Is the level of knowledge. Like, the stuff that I spit, is that knowledge for people? Or is that just...
It is, because most people, and myself included, like I'm 6th generation farmer, but I did not know the science behind the soil. I did not know that we'd lose billions of billions of tons of soil every year across the world?
Oh, it's 30 football fields of soil.
Like that kind of, I didn't know those facts. I didn't know about
every year.
Fungal dominated versus bacteria dominated environments. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. So I think it needs to be out there, but I think we need to develop a way that it can be put into reference charts and things that are easily digestible. I think the big books are great. I'm glad that you're reading them and everything, but a lot of people just don't have, I don't think we're at the point yet where people are interested enough to really consume a lot of big books on soil health and regenerative agriculture. But I think if you develop, quick educational videos and charts and how-to worksheets and stuff, I think that would be a great start.
I will say what Drops just said there.
Yeah.
That, especially if you're doing conventional farming and you buy all of the equipment, that's probably the number 2 deterrent for people switching over to regenerative agriculture. I say number 2 because number 1, in my opinion, is crop insurance. Crop insurance is what keeps people from switching.
Yeah.
Because if you do regenerative agriculture, you're not what's the word where you're not qualified. You're not qualified for crop insurance.
That's weird.
It's weird.
But again, that's the big corporations.
It's designed for conventional farming
to keep you poor. And that's one of the things we were discussing about how in order to be a conventional farmer, you have to buy all this equipment and invest all this money, and then they require you to use certain things, and they just keep you poor. That's why I like the homesteading movement that's been going on, because people are trying to become more independent and not dependent on the government. Great Lakes said they had cherry trees and had great cherries this year. I planted, how many cherry trees we planted this year?
2.
2 big ones, and then we have some nanking. We have 2 nanking cherries.
Oh, we had the one in the corner here, yeah.
My favorite fruit, by the way. Love cherries, so I'm all about it. What were you gonna? I know you were gonna rant about something.
I was gonna throw out if people don't know what crop insurance was. Crop insurance is basically you sign up for crop insurance, even if your crop goes bad, you get paid, period. And that's so you can pay the seed company and the fertilizer company and still make some money to continue doing that system. So you're making money no matter what. Not a lot, but you're making money. If you convert over to regenerative agriculture, to where you're growing perennials or you're going cover crops, I think it's cover crops specifically. If you grow cover crops, you don't qualify for crop insurance, which means now the fear of not actually making any money by switching over keeps people in the crop insurance business. So it's
a racket.
It's a racket. Crop insurance, and then the fact that you've invested all this money in the equipment, the 2 biggest things that keep older farmers from switching over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cover crops are a big deal for the soil. And we've actually, and that was one of the things we were going to talk about in one of your videos. I've lived here since 2008, and it's always been kind of like Dad's side of the garden and our side of the garden. And Dad has put in cover crops. He usually puts in like barley or rye or something, but it's always been plowed and fertilized, and I think that's about it. But water has always sat on it because
it's been plowed.
It's been plowed and mowed and fertilized and stuff like that. Well, we took it over the last 2 years, I think, right? This is our second year. And we've gotten some good rain this year. We've already hit our goal for the year, I think, for rain. It's been fairly significant. There's been no puddling. There's been no ponding of water, except there's one little bare area that was still bare that we haven't messed with, and that Dad keeps mowing. And that one still ponds. But it's amazing to me how much water you not only do you save and prevent from going into the water streams and the systems that go down into the waterways, and they take the topsoil with them. You're putting that water back in your own aquifer, but you're saving your soil. Mm-hmm. And it's been amazing to see the difference. And that's something that I actually want to do research on. Well, how much water did we get such and such years compared to this year, where we don't have that at all, where there's no muddy parts in the garden anymore, where it used to be. I couldn't even walk in there because it'd just be like a pond. Nothing. Because we're not mowing. We're letting the grass go.
And we're keeping it covered.
And that's all we had to do. And all we had to do was be lazier.
Well, I would say lazier, but we're also adding organic matter.
Yeah.
And yeah. So you're basically letting it grow, letting the roots grow, and keeping the soil covered to keep the temperature down, so that you don't kill off the bacteria. You don't fertilize or spray, so you don't kill bacteria and the fungi and all the insects. And then you put down organic matter so that the bacteria can have something to break down, not just the roots of the plants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been amazing. And then because we've had grass not being cut, and it's grown significantly in the pasture area, which I don't think you can really see in these photos, the deer fencing photos, maybe a little bit.
I can take some more.
Like on the left side of this one, we haven't mowed that at all. And you can actually,
that's the soil.
Yeah, that's the soil pile there on the left there.
Or compost, mushroom soil.
Yeah, we'll take some photos. We're planning to put out a vlog here in the next week or two, but we've been rotating the meat chickens on it. Let me take this picture off our faces. And they've been keeping the grass just kind of crushed down and tore up a little bit, and we don't have to mow that. And then when we get sheep, that'll be even better. So.
And we were I was thinking about getting a miniature donkey to go with the sheep.
Yeah, but a miniature donkey can't really protect the sheep.
Like a guard deal, but yeah.
But someone did recommend in the comments here earlier about getting a dog. Yeah. And I would like to. Nice little livestock dog. My concern, because I've never had livestock dogs before. Like, I've had dogs my whole life, but never one that was specific for livestock. Like, when it's hot, or when it's, I understand if it's cold, if they've got long coat, like, what's that white breed?
The Great Pyrenees.
The Great Pyrenees, they're probably fine. And I would make them a shelter or whatever. But in the summer, how do they deal with it in the summer? Do they shave them?
No. I know Greg Judy doesn't shave his.
I don't know. I'm overly paranoid about my animals. I literally just bought 9 watermelons like a couple weeks ago to freeze for our goats and chickens when it got really hot here. And I just bought 3 more today because it's supposed to be hot this week to freeze and give it to my animal. I'm like, maybe I baby them too much. I don't know. It's watermelon. It's not going to hurt anything. Pine is a good acidifier. They always say use pine in beds where you have your acidic plants like blueberries and stuff. So, ones down by our farm do really good in the heat, Mama Z says. Okay. I guess as long as you have shade, plenty of water. Maybe.
Yeah, you just make sure they have feed and water.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind getting a little puppy Great Pyrenees and raising it with the sheep. And theoretically with the goats too. Blue heeler. Donald would love a blue heeler. He loves cattle dogs. That's his jam. I'm partial to pit bulls only because I've had them for the last decade and almost 18 years now, 19 years now. And I just love them, but I don't think Bastion, my one before we got Court, was really good on the farm. Never went after the animals, but Court's a butthead. So there's that. Orion Tata says, the neighbor had a couple of those massive puppies, had too much energy when they escaped the goats they were supposed to be guarding. Keep water pools for them. That's a good idea, because we actually want to put ducks in with the sheep eventually too, if we start getting snails, because we're building an orchard. And that's what that fence is going around to, one, prevent the deer from eating the trees, which they've been doing, mm-hmm. and then to keep the sheep in there to graze around the orchard, whereas goats would eat the trees. But if we start getting snails, then I'm going to put ducks in there too. So there's that. Yeah, pit bulls are not practical on a farm. Although Bastion did really good on the farm, and he actually chased the bobcat away and scared the crap out of me because he was gone for like 3 hours. Court, he's a pet. So, Albany says, I'm of the Joel Salatin theory. The more hands off you are with the livestock, the hardier your stock is, which makes sense. It does make sense. And our goats, they've had issues over the last couple weeks, but they've kind of gotten through them. I tried to get a vet here to look at one of them. They had an abscess, but it did pop and we drained it. And then Now they all seem fine. Well, I think Reggie's getting one now, right?
Reggie's
getting one.
But I think it's just because I'm using the 𝙎𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, and it's really not the 𝙎𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, but they waste the hay.
They waste a lot of hay.
It's mixed up a lot, and I think the hay is poking them and creating the abscesses.
I still want to shovel all that hay out of there.
Well, I still want to open all that area up so they have more places to run.
Yeah, we have a lot of plans. It's hot. It's hard to do all the things you want to do on the farm when it's so stinking hot out. 90s and 95-degree weather. I don't want to do anything outside.
It's hard to do all the things you want to do at the same time. Like,
yeah.
Because a lot of times, both of us are both like, well, I want to do this here. I want to do this here. I want to do it now.
And we tried to
hire. I'm not doing it now.
We tried to hire some farm help at the end of June. I hired a gentleman that he had lost his job because he had broke his foot. He had a new baby girl to support. And I told him I'd pay him like $18 an hour to come. I'd pay in cash. And it was just too hot. And he couldn't do it. And he did not do a very good job at all. I felt bad, but...
My thing was, why is he volunteering to do farm work with a broken foot?
I don't know. It was kind of a disaster. So we haven't had good experience hiring help, unfortunately. So, but honestly, I've got enough of a gut here that I just need to do it myself and lose my gut. So there's that. As I sit here and pat my belly. Do you guys use ham radio? No, but I would love to learn. That's something I've always wanted to learn. And we actually have a ham radio society here in the county. So I have a resource that I could probably go to learn. It's on our list, our very long list.
Very long list.
Fishes and Love says, supposedly the hot pepper spray with garlic helps with snails. We have the little ones. I pick them off every thing after rain and throw them in the canal. Yeah, and that could be an option too. It's not like we have a very big orchard. I think if we had a massive orchard, then ducks would just make it easier. But I mean, we've got, you're counting how many trees, but we're going to add more. 14 trees in our orchard so far. These kids nowadays don't want to work, right? Stringfield says they have a pit, but she doesn't know how. She doesn't know she's a pit. Yeah, I actually got mine. Well, actually, he was kind of an accident. Maybe my first one was an accident. I used to be a vet tech at an emergency hospital, and I was doing second shifts. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and some woman came in with this pit bull kind of cradled in her arms, and he was. You might be able to see him. That guy there, that's Bastion, and that's my high school picture right there. But she brought him in, kind of cradling him like a baby, and she's like, I tried to take him home. Where am I at here? But my pit bulls attacked him, and he had like all these scars on his face. So she's like, I don't know what to do with him. And I was like, I'll take him. And it was honestly best dog I've ever had. And I had German Shepherds for years. That was mostly what we raised growing up with German Shepherds. But pit bull, better than any German Shepherd I ever had. That pit bull. Cord, on the other hand, he's cute. He snuggles, but he's not a good farm dog. Not at all. Yeah, the heat wipes us out. Donald did work out in the heat a lot over the last week or so. He comes in and he's just drenched in sweat.
But I'm getting that fence up.
But he's getting it up. I think seeing the progress of the work that you're trying to do makes it easier to do the physical labor. But when you're first starting out, you're like, just look at you. I don't want to do any of it. So there's
I've got 4 more pallets or panels to get.
So we're probably going to get those tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So we'll have the fencing done tomorrow, most likely. But then we have to do, because we have 3 archways. Yes, 3 archways into the sheep area that we showed a picture of earlier. So we have to put gates in those, and then we're going to have, obviously, things growing over those archways. But
when you're not used to the Texas heat, yes.
I feel like the Texas heat's a little bit different sometimes, though, because we are very humid up here.
Well, East Texas is humid.
Yeah.
South Texas is humid. Southeast Texas. West Texas and Northwest. So Southwest, West, Northwest. That's all dry heat.
Yeah. And we've had a lot more heat here than I think some of Texas has had. Like, even Mama Z was like, how are you guys that hot up there? And I think even Jason over at Big Bear maybe was talking about how we are hotter up here in Pennsylvania than they've been down there in Georgia or over in Texas where Mama Z's at.
I think we peak sometimes higher, but overall,
obviously, I mean,
they're hotter.
We're Pennsylvania, but this year's been bad. And then, Tinker's wife's not in here, but she's over in Portland, and they got hit massively, like, with heat. So,
but didn't Canada get like 100 degrees?
Yeah, over on the western side, I think, which is, I don't know my Canadian territories, unfortunately. I know that not Quebec. I learned how to say it right. Quebec is over on our side.
Is it Quebec?
Quebec.
Not Quebec.
It's not Quebec.
I've been saying it wrong my entire life. My entire life has been a lie.
Yes, it has.
I blame the American education system.
Unpaved Explorer asked, are you in PA? Yes, we are actually in Gettysburg. So we are in one of the more famous small towns, let's put it that way. Obviously, Philly and Pittsburgh are more well-known, and Scranton State College, but Gettysburg is unique. It is unique here. I really enjoy living in Gettysburg. I don't enjoy living close to a big farm that had a big, massive 100 buses full of people concert today. But, whatever. All I heard was, it was funny because it's technically a youth Catholic concert that they're having. And they brought in at least 100 buses worth of people. So if you think there's probably at least 30 people on a bus, maybe 50, because it's the big tour buses. A lot of people over there. And they're playing, Donald's putting up the fence, and they're playing this loud, very dramatic Christian music. And Donald's like, I feel like I'm about to get attacked by the Knights Templar.
It was.
And that's what it felt like. It felt like there's something dramatic about to happen on the farm.
It was loud, and it's like right there. So I was like, what?
Broussard, couple Ketter. Oh, I miss Abby. I need to start coming to your Thursday night lives again. I miss it. The farm is in North Central, and to me, it's a nice mix of too hot, or not too dry, and not too humid. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. I honestly love living in Pennsylvania. I don't know that I think Pennsylvania is my number one place to live based off of so many different things. Like, we're allowed to have raw milk. It's an open carry state. It's very easy to get a license to carry. We both have license to carry. But it's also beautiful. And it's got, Appalachian Mountains. It's, where the Constitution was ratified. There's a lot of history here. And the buildings, the farmhouses here are unlike, on the East Coast, are unlike anything you're going to find further west. And I hate to say it that way, but I just love that old architecture so much that that's where I want to be. So Gettysburg is unique from the south. It's all slow rolling hills of grass, and then you reach the top of the hill full of woods. Yeah.
Until you get to the apple orchards.
Oh yeah, and then you get all the apple orchards. Gettysburg or Adams County in general is basically, it's apple country here. Everything apple. We've got apple festivals. We've got, when October hits, we have this local farm called Hollaballs, and they have this big farm market. They make apple cider donuts, which in themselves are delicious. But then they make apple cider donut milkshakes, and it's just like, so we get one of those every year. We have to. You can't not. Apple cider is the fall drink for me. Screw pumpkin spice. It's great. I love pumpkin. But apple cider, that is my favorite drink. Hands down. Apple cider and hibiscus tea. I could live off of it. So there's that. Yeah, the 13 colonies would be a fun trip. Do like a little road trip. Go to Annapolis in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware. That's actually going to be part of the video that's coming out on what is Maryland a southern state. I've done so much research on this video. I'm so proud of the details that I have. I can't wait to have it go out. I'm hoping it's going to go out this week. So keep an eye on that because I'm really excited for the historical value of this video, and maybe it will quell the argument that everybody tells me Maryland's not in the South. Well, we're going to discuss it in the video. Hey, 𝙎𝙖𝙧𝙙𝙬𝙬𝙧 Homestead. Welcome. We got all kinds of names here that I haven't seen in a while. Leave a thumbs up when you guys come in. I miss all of you. Yeah, there's a lot of things I learned doing this video that even I didn't know, and I was born and raised in Maryland, but it makes a lot of sense. And I think both the North and the South will appreciate the information in this video. I've got the audio done. I've got the footage ready. I just got to do the rough cuts, find some music, you know, put it all together. So I'll probably work on that some tomorrow. My goal is to have it out by Wednesday. Let's put it that way.
Well, let's put it that way.
Let's put it that way. Now, we're 10:21. One big unfortunate thing that is happening this week is Donald is switching to midnight shift Tuesday night.
Tomorrow night.
It's not going to affect our lives, which is great, but it's going to affect our farm work, which sucks. So I don't know how we're going to handle it. I'm thinking he's going to get home around 7-ish or 8 a.m. He's going to do his chores and probably go to bed right away, which my goal is I'm going to start getting up at 5 a.m. and going to work at 6 a.m., be available when he gets home, and then be done by 4 or 5 p.m. whenever he's able to get up before he has to get back to work at 9. So not looking forward to that at all, but it should only be for, what'd you say, 5 weeks?
Yeah, it's supposed to be for 5 weeks.
We'll see. Till September at least. So we'll have that little bit of time in the afternoons to do some farm work. But he's going to be sleeping most of the day. That's what sucks about it, especially on our days off. We don't want to really break that schedule if we can help it. You know, what do? Your days off, you sleep all day. And then I can't keep that schedule and run my business. I have to be able to work during the day. So there's that.
Yep.
But while we're here, and time flew once we got past that initial half-hour hump where we went over everything and we're like, what are we talking about now?
And then I went on my rant.
And then you went on your rants. We're going to hop in here and do a channel shout out. If one of my mods wants to grab the link for our channel shout out, I want to shout out Mulberry Branch Farm. This is one of my favorite channels. I get along with Ashley over here so much, and she has been not only knocking it out on TikTok, but they're just a really good and fun bunch of people over there. So this is one of my favorite channels. I've made a really good friendship with them, and so I wanted them to be my channel shout out today. So if you could check them out, there's going to be a link in the comments. And just check them out, see if there's something that you like, give them a subscribe. And we like to support a channel during each one of our lives. We shout out somebody. We shout out somebody during our lives, and that's kind of our channel shout out for today. So check them out. Love them to death. Yes, we have the link in there. 𝙎𝙖𝙧𝙙𝙬𝙬 says Maryland is south of the Mason-Dixon line, which makes it the South. Yes, that is the argument that I always throw out there when people argue with me about it. My 3 haters are back. You know, it's okay. We did research on what thumbs down did. For those of you that don't know, this is a quick tip for you. So thumbs down does not affect your analytics as far as like ranking on Google. It's or YouTube. It's an engagement, so it's fine. What it does affect, though, is when you thumb down a video on YouTube, you are telling the YouTube algorithm that I no longer want to see these type of videos. So if you're watching a homestead channel, then that means I no longer want to see these type of homestead channels when I'm browsing YouTube. If I'm looking at a gaming channel, I thumbs down that video. It means that YouTube's not going to promote YouTube or gaming channels to me anymore. So that's kind of what a thumbs down does. It's not really affecting your channel. If anything, if you internalize the thumbs down and be like, why do people not like me? I know why people don't like me, and I'm fine with that because I like me, and I'm going to keep being me even more just to piss off people. So that's just to understand how thumbs down works. That's how it works. It's not going to affect how you rank on YouTube. It is going to affect what they see in their algorithm. It's kind of like if you're on TikTok, if you just scroll past a video and don't heart it, then TikTok thinks you're not interested in that kind of video. But if you heart it, then they're going to read that and be like, all right, You like this video, we're going to show you more of these videos. And that's kind of how that works. But I'm just checking the last bits of the comments. So thank you, Stringfield, for hanging out. And thank you for joining today as a member. Again, we did open up memberships this week. I've already thrown the first drop for membership-only information, and that is the entire Materia Medica page on cayenne pepper or capsaicin. So I'm going to be doing at least one of those a month. We're going to be giving away books every quarter. We're going to have members-only live chats. We're going to have, there's a tier if you want consultations about Canva, marketing, soil building, herbs. We're going to have all of that available. So check them out. If you're interested in any of these tiers, feel free to join as a channel member. We'll add you to our newsletter, and you'll get all kinds of cool, geeky stuff. And I'm willing to sit down and have a little powwow with you if you want to help figure out how to do this stuff in StreamYard with the graphics. So we actually have a StreamYard affiliate link below as well if you're interested in trying out StreamYard, or Canva if you're interested in trying out Canva to make these graphics. So we have all of those links down below as well. No problem, fishes and loaves. I know how it goes. But awesome. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We'll end the chat just because we try to keep it in an hour as much as possible to be respectful of your time. But definitely check us out next week. Look out for that video on Is Maryland in the South? We'll find out because I did the research. And then if you have not seen the cayenne pepper video that came out this week on all the health benefits of cayenne, I went into some detail. Then definitely check that out. To answer his way, we are undecided. We have tickets. So if it's partially virtual, we may do virtual. We may go. I don't know. We'll kind of see how things go in October. His schedule is going to be the biggest factor in that. If he's still at his job now and not at a new place, then we may not have the vacation time saved up. If he...
Yeah, reverse that.
No. If you're at a new job, you may not have the vacation time saved up. And then if people keep leaving, because some guy just left after being there 2 weeks and gave us 2 weeks notice, he may not get to take off for that weekend. So we'll see. Oh, that's awesome that you guys are going. Well, if we're going, then you and I will set up a time for us to hook up or something. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And definitely don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you are notified when we go live or when we post a new video, because we're trying to be on top of that. Word to your mother.
Peace.
Peace out, guys. Love you guys.